Hello, welcome to the queue. This is the recap of the game. Turn 8 has ended. Canada was successful in taking Rome. Wait, no, they weren't. They failed in taking Rome. So the Axis wins. Congratulations to Detroit and G.I. Joe for pulling off the victory. They had 12 at the end of round 7, and they held on to them all at the end of round 8, so they are the winners. A lot of these games are a little more roller coaster. You know, sometimes the Axis will get up 14, 15 points, and then at the end they, skyrocket down whether they win or lose. You know, they could be 11, 12, 10 points. But this game was more steady in victory points as it goes throughout the game. I mean, there was one point they were at 13, but I think for most of the game it was pretty steady around that 10 mark, 10, 11 mark. So it was a very steady game. They held on to what they needed to win the game. And looking on the map, I've got yellow chips where the victory points are. This one here would be 4 U.S. or British islands, and that was the big battle for U.S. there. The remaining Japanese defenders are the 4 aircrafts. And you can see the pile of debris from casualties from out the whole game. Sydney would be another one. This one here represents the 4 oil territories that Japan had 3 and Germany had 1. Here we have Manila, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Tokyo. So Japan came away with 7 of the 12 needed. They were spread out pretty good. I think G.I. Joe mentioned to me that his original strategy was to get the China point, and he had to back off of that due to Russian and U.S. presence in the north, and then eventually British pressure in the south. So that was another point they were going for. The Europe side, you can see the chip here for Rome, and that was the final 3 Allied attacks, and they didn't get very deep. Whether you were taking infantry or artillery, they didn't clear out into that, so they didn't get into their tanks or planes. So Rome is a victory point. Paris, Berlin, Warsaw, and Russia tried to take Leningrad there back at the end, but they rolled like a bunch of pansies and failed there. So that is how the game ended. The Germans, well, no longer the Italians, it's just the Germans. Germans having 5 victory points, and the Japanese holding 7 for the 12 that they needed. And you can see the Allied and Italian and German debris up here from all those casualties, and then there's the casualties from that last Leningrad battle, the Rome battle. Lots of chaos. I will say that there are some changes. The next game that we do play, we're going to use some of the changes that Sired is notified us of, and I'll go over some of those right here. The Soviet Union, this national objective for getting 10 IPCs for liberating Manchuria is being reduced to 5. Now that did not come into play in this game. The spread of communism is the BBR, or the out-of-box NO for this one. For each territory that the Soviet Union controls that was originally German, Italian, or pro-Axis, 3 IPCs. That's going to be reduced to 2. And there was some debate on making it different, say for minors versus regulars, but that seemed a little confusing to me. Leaving the regular territories at 3 and the minors at 1. So I think a suggestion was made, let's make all of them 2, and it's much easier because Britain gets 2, Germany gets 2, Italy gets 2, so Russia should just get 2. So this is being reduced to 2. The other Russian change is the movement of factories. is going from 1 IPC to 2. And these two changes on this game would not have affected the cash a ton. Looking at my notes here, Russia would have been down $7 for this one, and then $2 for that because they only moved to factory twice. So, you know, $9 in this game would have been 3 less infantry for Russia. So not a huge swing on this game. On the previous game, where G.I. Joe was Russia, he actually got more Middle Eastern territories and Scandinavian territories. So that would have been a huge change on his cash for the game, because he was really bringing in some money there in those middle rounds where he had all those extra territories that he took from Germany and took from the Middle East. So that would have changed that game, you know, cash-wise considerably. The other two changes, and I don't have roundels for these two victory conditions, but it's the Third Reich point, victory point, and the Japanese Empire victory point, which were based off of territories. You had to have certain territories plus all your original. And there was always questions about which territories those were, and you know, I've marked them, you know, on my map, so I knew. Sometimes you still get questions. You know, I marked them with the red houses, and then, like I said, the original territories. But the change that is coming, that I think we're going to use in this next game, whenever that is that the Third Reich point is now going to be based off IPC total. So not the total of your national objectives, just what's on the income tracker. And I believe Germany and Italy combined for 70 IPCs. And then Japan, I believe, is 52. It might be a little more than that, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure where that number is ending. That was just the first number I heard, so we'll see where we go there. Looking at the income tracker right now, Japan was at 51 and Italy's 0, but, well, Italy's on the Allied side, so it wouldn't count in that. So Germany was at 63, so neither one would have gotten that. And honestly, if that would have been in play, then yes, we're taking more of these territories, you know, and you know, knocking Japan down. I don't know. Well, I guess, yeah, we would have made more of a push there in the middle to take out numbers, to get them below whatever the number of IPCs they would need to get those two objectives. So there would have been some different moves there at the end of this game, maybe. But it is what it is. So these changes are coming, and there may be more changes. That's just the ones that I'm aware of. So, like I said, this was a good game. I had a lot of fun. The first time I've played with Matt Todd and Hilltop Pillbox on my side on a team. So it was fun. We had a good time. You know, and when you're on a, you know, one side, there's a whole lot more conversations than, say, with Detroit and Joe. There was banter back and forth, and you know, some of that kind of stuff. But most of the conversation is with our side. You know, what we're doing, what we want to do. You know, what we want to try and accomplish, and you know, and the same with Detroit and Hilltop. They had their conversations, and those are kind of what's really fun about the game, I think. You know, coming up with plans and strategies and joking around and that kind of silliness. So if you're not into silliness, you probably wouldn't want to be on my team, because I don't take things too seriously. But it was a fun game, and I congratulate the Axis players again for one final time. Detroit and G.I. Joe, well done. And I will not say it again, because we're moving on to another game at some point, and someone else will be the victor in that game. Till then, keep rolling dice.